Hi everyone! Today I'm going to walk you through my sketchbooks from the past few years. For a long time now, I've seen all these really cool, epic sketchbook tours on YouTube, and today what I'm going to show you is pretty much the exact opposite of what you've probably seen. My sketchbook is purely a place for me to put my ideas. You'll see some of the pages are full, some of them are half full, and that's because they're not supposed to be polished or put together. My sketchbook is usually a place where I get an initial idea, and then as soon as it starts to work itself out, I hop over to my iPad or I start painting on canvas. I think I mainly just felt inspired to do this video because I wanted to show people that you don't have to have some incredibly polished, adorable sketchbook to be a great artist. Nothing against those people, because I definitely admire those who can create these really cool sketchbooks with washi tape and completely full pages. However, this is just me. This is how I do things. And now that that's said and done, I thought I'd talk about my journey here. I'm traditionally a fine artist, but in college I had very limited space and very limited time. Like, I literally lived in a dorm room that I shared with 2 other people, shared a bathroom with 5 people, and so all I had was my sketchbook, my Copic markers, and watercolors. And that's kind of what led me to start getting into illustration. I already loved illustration just from my childhood, and I always admired some of the books that my mom would read to me as a kid that had these beautiful, gorgeous, elaborate illustrations in them. So I already had a love for it, I just had not really tampered with it at all myself. Now, some of these things you'll see in my sketchbook, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of random things. I go all abstract at times, and then cartoony and whatnot. That one's so weird. As you can see, I have a whole hodgepodge of illustrations here, and it was a very gradual thing for me, at least my style of illustration, until all of a sudden it wasn't. I loved that I could draw something in an hour or 2 and already have a finished piece. You just can't do that with fine art painting. So all of a sudden I was doing these illustrations and I got asked for my artwork to be featured in a coffee shop. So I blew up my illustrations to 11 by 14. I painted them with acrylic on a flat board and then framed them and hung them up. It was a pretty exciting moment for me, and the feedback was extremely positive, which led me to open up my Etsy store. I began selling prints, doing custom work, and selling stickers and such too. I still have my shop open, at least at the time of uploading this video, and I'll put a link in the description. I'll probably do another video soon about my experience on Etsy. But anyways, that's kind of my experience and how these sketchbooks came to be. I obviously have more sketchbooks than this, but they are buried away somewhere, and these are my most recent ones from college. I got an iPad around 2017, and that has, in some ways, become my sketchbook. Sometimes I would start drawing these images in my sketchbooks, as you see here, and then I would take those drawings and then continue them further into my iPad. But as of lately, I just start in my iPad. I don't even try drawing in a sketchbook anymore, which is kind of sad because I'm such a traditionalist. But in a way, I've evolved from that, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But it is good to be able to just sit down and draw something in a sketchbook and finish it. It's funny because sometimes now if I try to draw something in a sketchbook, I realize, like, oh no, there's not a back button. I can't just undo what I just did. So that's kind of hilarious. Also, I want to reiterate that these sketchbooks, they weren't intended for anyone but me. Oh, also, this is one of my favorite drawings I have in one of my sketchbooks. It's a drawing I did with Copic markers and watercolors, and it's a painting of my sister. She's awesome. Anyways, so these aren't for anyone's eyes except for mine until now, obviously, because I'm posting this video. So if you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, she copied this girl or whatever. No. I'm not copying anybody. I am purely just trying to learn in these sketchbooks and get ideas. Sometimes, like in this photo here, I think I just found pictures on Pinterest and drew that picture just for learning purposes. I feel like something I've learned so much through my sketchbooks is that it's okay to copy people. Let me reiterate. It's okay to copy people. It's not okay to copy people and then say that work is yours and then try to sell it. That's not okay. But you can learn so much by finding an artist you really like and just trying to recreate their work. In a sketchbook, on a canvas, whatever, you will learn so much. I actually did a master study of a painting by Waterhouse last year or so, and I learned so much from that painting. Now, am I going to try to sell it? No. I do think it turned out good, and I like how it turned out. But that's what I do a lot in my sketchbooks too, is sometimes I start drawing something that, another artist drew or whatnot. And, half the time I start drawing this and then I end up taking my own spin on it and I turn it into something completely different that I never even planned on drawing at all. I think I held myself back for quite a few years as an artist because I was so afraid of copying somebody and then being called out about it on the internet or something rather. And so I didn't learn very much because I was just trying to be original and be different. And the truth is, most of the most famous artists you see out there, they had to start somewhere too. And they probably didn't start out being so original and creative. I think that's very rare these days to find someone who's just completely creative, comes up with all their ideas on their own, and they just started fresh like that. Something that I've learned over the past year that's really caught on in my heart and in my mind is that you have to be able to take pieces of people's paintings, whether that be, the color scheme, the way that the sun reflects on the water, or how the rocks are placed, or, I'm talking about landscape painting here, obviously, for an example, but you can take pieces and bits and fragments of other paintings that you like or other artists that you like and not copy them. Obviously, that's not copying. It's not copying if you are able to take such tiny fragments of different people and create them into your own unique, different painting or piece of art. Sorry, I didn't even finish the sketchbook. I'm so bad. Sometimes I move between different sketchbooks because, like, that one was pretty large, and now here, see, I started on this very small sketchbook. I actually really like this size in general so much better, and I have another sketchbook after this that I did in this size, and I really, really like this a lot better. I think because it's just so much easier to fill the space, and I can finish a whole page and be like, yeah, I finished a whole page. As I said before, these sketchbooks are from when I was in college, and this was a few years in, and so I feel like at this time in my life, I was starting to really discover myself a lot more and have a lot more confidence in my art, and I think that really comes through in this sketchbook. It feels a lot more just me. It feels a lot more put together, and I finally kind of understood what I liked, what I didn't like, and okay, some of them are still bad, I'm so sorry, but you see what I mean? A lot of these illustrations I did with micron pens, which, oh my goodness, if you have not discovered micron pens yet, they are a game changer, mostly because you can draw something, erase the pencil marks, whatever, draw it in a micron pen. They come in all these ranges of sizes, and then if you want to use like Copic markers on top of them, nothing bleeds. So you can even paint with watercolors and whatnot, and it doesn't bleed at all. It's fantastic. Also, just if you were wondering, no, I am not sponsored by Micron pens, but you know what? Maybe they should hit me up because that would be awesome. Also, as you can see, there's some blank pages here, and that's because the Copic markers bled through. I normally keep like a random white blank piece of paper in between, so that just like a sheet of paper in between, so that I don't bleed through onto the next page, but sometimes I forget. And sometimes it still bleeds through. Sad day. Also, I know there's just kind of a hodgepodge of sketches here, but like I said, just kind of my initial idea. Uh-oh, bled through again. So on this next page, this is what I started out drawing for my illustrations that went up in the coffee shop. I really wanted to emphasize this girl with the cat and the flowers. For some reason, this was just what did it for me. I just loved illustration from this drawing on out. And I also really loved the next one that I have with the man and the pipe and the stripes. Something about it just felt like me all of a sudden. I just knew who I was as an artist and as an illustrator. And the other drawings that I did for the coffee shop, I had this idea about the table with the seaside in the background, but I ended up not doing that. I mostly just did portraits of people, and I kind of just wanted to do something whimsical and fun, and so I worked out all of these illustrations with Copic markers in my sketchbook, and then I painted them 11 by 14, and some of them are up in my mom's house now, which is kind of fun. That's the end of that there. I did a few more, but they aren't in my sketchbook. And from here on out, I feel like I truly understood where I wanted to go with illustration and the style I wanted to achieve. Sort of this cartoony, but still, I don't know, I don't want to say hipster because that's kind of weird, but just different, unique style. I had a lot of inspiration from my life, the people around me, and then also Instagram. There's a few Instagram artists that I really picked up on, really enjoyed seeing their work, and so I wanted other people to see my work in that way. I started my art Instagram. I grew that to over 20,000 followers, which was super exciting. And I still keep up on it a little bit, but now I'm doing a lot more fine art again. It's crazy to me how that one drawing of the girl with the cat in her hair sparked this movement inside of me, and my illustrations don't even look really like that anymore. They've evolved so much since then, but that really inspired me and made me really want to continue doing illustration and be more serious about it. I mean, even to the point where I was selling so many prints on Etsy and doing a ton of custom work. I remember I did custom work for one of my friends, and I ended up doing like 10 or 15 different illustrations, and that was just amazing to me that someone would want to pay me to do that. And I think for the longest time I felt that, you know, I couldn't do illustration, that wouldn't pay me anything. I mean, I just couldn't see it as a career. I never thought that people would want to pay for that. I'm about to flip through the last sketchbook that I have completed, and I have another sketchbook going right now, but I mostly do everything in my iPad these days. And if you want to see more of my work, I'll have a few pictures of completed drawings at the end of this, just so you can get a better frame of reference of what I actually do, what I actually draw when I'm completing a piece. But you can also follow me on Instagram or check out my Instagram. I'll have all of that information down below. And I hope that you can see in this video that there's so much you can learn when it comes to drawing and illustrating. and I'm still learning, I'm still growing so much. And now I've learned so much just by looking at other artists on Instagram and getting inspired by other people. I still do a lot of custom portraits, custom paintings for people. I actually just added a new listing in my Etsy store that is particularly just portrait illustrations, custom portrait illustrations for people, and I'm really excited about that one. I know that that's something that people ask me to do all the time. It's just, can I get a custom illustration of my boyfriend or me particularly, or my friend? And that's something I love doing, is just custom portraits. I do custom like family portraits too, and that's been a lot of fun. I had to take a break from it for a while because I got married this year and I moved, and just with the holidays, everything was so crazy, and I did quite a few right before Christmas, and then I just had to turn my shop on vacation mode because it was getting to be too much with wedding planning and such. But now it is back open. Honestly, that's been probably my favorite thing about running an Etsy store, is doing custom family portraits or couple portraits for people and seeing their reactions when they receive it, or seeing their friends react to it is really exciting for me. Just knowing how I've touched somebody or getting to see my artwork up in their house is honestly, it's a feeling I can't even describe. It's been such a blessing in my life. So if you have bought something from me in my Etsy store, I just want you to know how much I appreciate that and how much it's touched me and inspired me as an artist to just keep going and keep working so hard, because I know how it's impacted you or impacted the people in your life, and that's just amazing to me. Honestly, you guys are so awesome. And what I want to talk about next is I'm going to show you some of my iPad drawings at the very end of this video. And so I figured I might as well talk about my iPad. That has been a game changer for me as an artist. Just being able to start something from start to finish, not have to take any pencils, paper, markers, watercolors, whatever, you name it, with me whenever I go paint or draw or whatnot. That has been such a game changer, and I love my iPad so much. Not to discredit drawing in a sketchbook, because I think there's something to be said about that, but if you're on the fence about getting an iPad, I definitely suggest getting it. I feel like I can't talk it up too much because now I'm back to painting on my canvases and using oil paints, and I love doing that so much. But if you're curious, I started out with Procreate, and then I switched pretty quickly to Adobe Sketch. I like Adobe Sketch a lot more. I still love Procreate for different reasons, but all around I feel like Adobe Sketch is the way to go. I particularly just really like the brushes that you can get with Adobe Sketch. I think all of the brushes that I have that I downloaded come with Adobe Sketch now, but back in the day I downloaded the Kyle T. Webster brushes, and those are really awesome. They look very similar to drawing in real life with crayons or some type of colored pencil, that kind of thing. It looks very similar to that. So I've really enjoyed using those brushes in particular. I also really like, I know I said this earlier, but just the fact that you can hit the backspace button and undo something you did, which is not something you can do in a sketchbook when you're drawing in real life, but in digital painting, you can do that. You can hit backspace, or you can switch to a bigger brush just by making the brush size bigger on your iPad, which is really cool. This is the end of my sketchbook. Woohoo! But also kind of sad because, it's the end. As promised, here are some drawings I've done recently that I did in my iPad. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye!